today ready to go, and it has been a journey, but congratulations, this is great, and really, you know, what can I say? This is how we do the kind of work that I hope to spread throughout the community college network. So I started in this job about 2 years ago, almost exactly 2 years ago, and it's a brand new job, and the charge was figure out how to help a network of 116 community colleges make a difference in climate change. So that's kind of a big, amorphous, maybe even a little bit ridiculous charge, but also an exciting one. And I kind of think of it as a microcosm of that very large ecosystem of climate change challenges that face us. You know, it's big, it's hard to know where to start, it's, It's big, it's hard to know where to start, and there's no handhold to just get going on it. And I think that can lead us into a place where, you know, we get a little bit hopeless or even a little bit of despair, and certainly some paralysis at that individual or institutional level that can make it hard for us to do something. But the way out of that paralysis is what this group here is already doing, and that's identifying a local or regional resource, and then identifying the challenges and opportunities that are associated with it, digging in and finding the places that community colleges and their partners can make a difference in that space. So you're already doing something, and that's inspiring to see. So today I'm going to give just a little back up a little bit higher from the level of the specific roles you're doing in the BCAP project, and talk more generally about climate work at community colleges, and hopefully help some of you even broaden thinking even further from what you're already doing, which is magnificent. So I think having frameworks of what we're doing can inspire us to do more. I think a good place to start is to look at what universities and colleges are already good at in climate. So obviously, research institutions are the first places who have described climate change, they're making predictions about what's going to happen, and they're coming up with technologies that are parts of the solution that we need to get out of this. And, you know, those technologies already exist that can revolutionize our economy and energy systems, but they haven't been deployed at scale yet. Colleges and universities have also raised awareness to a very good extent, both through training people and educating them as they go through their program, but also working with the traditional media landscape to bring awareness. That said, I think we have to put an asterisk to say that process hasn't really brought everyone along with getting on board with climate investment. And then finally, higher ed has been really good at sustainability and just rolling out new technologies. If there's a new LEED Platinum building in your region, where's it going to go in first? It's either going to be at that state government complex or at your local university or college. And so there's a lot of pioneering work that goes there. So what's missing? So I'll argue that there's two areas that higher education has yet to fully succeed. One is scaling up the deployment of those technologies that I just mentioned that allow energy and economic transformations to happen. And second, that element of bringing along communities and people that aren't already kind of on board with our investing in climate work. And I think community colleges are the best placed institutions to fill both of those needs. And I actually think it's useful to kind of go back to first principles here to remind ourselves what we're trying to do when we talk about climate impact, and just define a couple of terms. So mitigation and adaptation are the two ways that we can make a difference here. Mitigation results from measures that reduce the magnitude of future climate change by reducing things we put in the atmosphere that provoke those changes. And to simplify things just a bit, that means reducing our reliance on fossil fuels, whether by reducing our total energy consumption or increasing our rollout of renewable technologies, renewable energy. But the other way we can address climate change is through adaptation. And these are actions that help us to adjust to changes that are already happening or that are baked in already. So when a farmer switches crops to ones that is more heat tolerant, that's adaptation. But also when somebody switches careers into, let's say, one of these emerging blue economy careers, because of new opportunities, that's also adaptation at a personal level. I think it's worth pointing out that in institutional settings, there tends to be a bias towards the mitigation end of the spectrum. So when you think about it, what does your college do about climate? It's typically a sustainability plan, and that's about usually facilities and operations and that kind of thing. It really fits with the way institutions work. And that's as it should be, because we need to be able to make these decreases in our emissions outputs, but it's worth pointing back the drawback if we put all of our eggs in the mitigation basket. It's easy to forget that the adaptation it is there, and that we're kind of saying we need to have big investments now for a future payoff in reduced climate change. And you know that can be a disconnect for some people as far as bringing communities along. So my point here is both adaptation and mitigation are important, they're complementary, and that adaptation is sometimes undervalued, and that community colleges have really important roles to play with both of them. So why do I think community colleges are unique in their ability to deal with climate change? Well, three main things. The scale. We have huge physical and operational footprints. We have 11 million students across the nation, 2 million just here in California. Second, we have really strong connections to communities in a way that the other segments of higher ed don't really have. And so there's a lot of responsiveness potential, lots more being tapped into local resources and opportunities. And finally, we have disproportionate roles in workforce development. So that deploying technologies that I was just talking about is not going to happen without the involvement of our community colleges. So growing kind of organically from these kind of inherent strengths of community colleges, I think there are three large and kind of fuzzy buckets of work that we can talk about. One is classic sustainability in our facilities and operations. The second is workforce development for climate-ready careers, as you're going to be delving into today. And then finally, using community colleges as assets to communities, as ways to deliver to link agencies and resources with the people, and also to provide direct assistance. So for example, the classic example of one thing colleges are often doing is serving as that emergency response center at a time of natural disaster. Again and again, we see community colleges as that place where people evacuate to when there's a wildfire in the region or a flooding situation. So between sustainability, workforce development, and community engagement and assistance, that's a huge range of things that we're bringing to the table. And I think a couple of those are particularly good fits with community colleges. Now, I also think the nice thing about what community colleges can do, spread out across those categories of work, is that we can span time scales as well as physical scales in reaching people. So sustainability in our facilities and operations, that's reducing our carbon imprint. That's the long-term payoff for reducing climate change over the medium to long term. But we don't just do that. Again, that's the big investment now, long-term payoff. Harder to get people to feel those tangible benefits in some cases. But let's look at workforce development. You're going to be training people that are going to be rolling out technologies that are going to, every person coming out of those programs are going to be in their career doing the same, that action that they've learned to do hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of times. And in many cases, that's rolling out these new technologies. So talk about a multiplicative effect of ability to decrease our emissions and our future climate scenario. But it's even better than that because it's not all long term. Those people who are going through these programs and ending up in good jobs that have some meaning because they're serving their community and their world as they're doing it, are getting benefits in a much reduced time frame. So maybe it's a few weeks after a certification program, maybe it's a few years after a baccalaureate. But those benefits are flowing to individuals and communities on a much shorter time frame. And then finally, when we're using the colleges as mutual conveners for dialogue about difficult issues like climate, or rolling out resources from federal or state agencies, we're also making lives better now. So with all these together, community colleges can focus on strengths that they already have in their region, tailoring solutions to the people that they serve. And I really think that's a broader, more tangible set of solutions that affect people's lives than a lot of other places are doing. So that's why I'm so excited about climate work here in California and in community colleges across the nation. So I do have one thing to announce that those of you who are interested in these climate issues, we're going to do a first, as far as I know, a first in the nation event in September up in Sacramento. And it's really going to be delving into, it's a 2-day event, it's going to be delving into everything that we think that community colleges can contribute in this space. We're going to have some high-level framing, but we're also going to have some success case studies, like how to get started in the work. And we're going to be highlighting some of the work that's happening in various places around this room as well. So we're really excited about that and happy to share with what California has been doing with the rest of the world. So with that, I am going to pass get involved and hope to see you there. With that, I'm going to pass the microphone to one of my colleagues that I've been working with closely in the past few months, Vice Chancellor Rena Finch. She's the Vice Chancellor at the Chancellor's Office for Finance and Facilities, but she has been working really strongly in climate, and she has an exciting announcement that is really tied into what I've just been talking about. Thank you.
Hey everyone, it's so good to be here with you. I'm sort of pinch hitting for Chancellor Christian right now. Unfortunately, as you know, she was a little bit under the weather today and not able to join us. But she did ask me to introduce the Chancellor's Fellow Program. I'm Rena Finch. I'm the Vice Chancellor of College Finance and Facilities, as Jeff introduced me. I'm appointed by Chancellor Christian to lead climate action work for the California community colleges. Just a little background, I got into that because one of the areas I oversee is the capital outlay and facilities planning for the system. We have 25,000 acres in our system. It's a big system with 116 colleges, even more campuses, even more centers, even more district offices. And so we have a huge impact with just the choices we make in our own facilities. So the Board of Governors of California has a climate action and sustainability framework and goals. And I'm just wondering how many people here know that our goal is by 2035 to be net zero. You heard that? I think we can do it. And part of these partnerships that we're working with today and really expanding how we think about our climate work is really going to help us get there. So let me talk about the Climate Fellow Program. We're going to see an announcement come out from the Chancellor's Office early next week on the Climate Fellow Program. We're looking for climate fellows. They can be from any field. They can be faculty, dean, classified staff, facilities staff. Anybody can apply for this. And we're looking for a commitment of about 40 to or even up to 100% release time, depending on what we negotiate. And the work will be in one of 4 areas. So I am going to tell you a little bit about the 4 areas. The first one is in community engagement. And our fellows working in community engagement will be considering ways in which faculty or staff can support climate change and sustainability goals through alignment with campus and community environmental and social justice activities. We're looking for people to identify really specific opportunities for college engagement within their communities and to lead local and regional stakeholder groups, develop strategies for campuses and communities to engage in zero emission projects and other very specific projects. The next area is around curriculum, and I've heard that come up a number of times here. So we know it's a very important area. So the curriculum fellow would be considering ways in which faculty can support efforts to advance climate action education and engagement, and looking for discipline-specific examples of sustainability in their curriculum and ways to make that relevant for their students' lived experiences. Also looking at how we can develop a framework at the state level for strategies to embed climate action and sustainability topics into all general curriculum. The third category is around workforce, also hearing a lot about that today, right? So we're looking for a fellow who can develop a framework to assess how industries are impacted and how to identify and estimate climate-related changes related to workforce needs, explore career training programs, make recommendations, and plan for enhancing the relevance to climate work. And then especially to develop those opportunities for living laboratories for students to really engage meaningfully in hands-on learning opportunities. And then lastly, the Campus Facilities Fellow. Again, looking for strategies and recommendations for involvement in updating campus level and district level administrative policies and plans, including sustainability plans on campuses and moving towards that goal of net zero carbon emissions by 2035. And then also looking at how faculty and student involvement, how we can incorporate that into establishing and monitoring our benchmarks to meet those Board of Governors goals. We have 2025, our goal is to benchmark in a lot of areas, not just for greenhouse gases, but also energy usage in buildings, by the campus, water usage, waste, procurement, purchasing, how we manage our fleet, and sustainable food purchases in your dining halls as well. So please look for this announcement early next week. The applications are due May 3rd, and we'll be making a decision by the end of May on who will be in this faculty fellow program. The submissions will go to sustainability@ccco.edu. All this will be in the announcement, but just keep your eye out for it, and if you have any questions, you can contact me directly or the sustainability@ccco.edu email. So thank you so much for your time. Look forward to seeing all of you apply.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor Finch. The Fellows Program is an amazing opportunity for our faculty and all our employees to continue to work to move the climate forward. I'm joined on stage today with Ferris Guar, who is the Santa Monica College Director of Sustainability. He does so many amazing things on campus. So we're only going to spend a few minutes walking through a few slides, talking about the BCAP project and what our goals are and what we hope to achieve. We'll hand off to some amazing students, and we'll head out to lunch, so we're almost there. And the lunch is really good. It's coming up soon. So let's get those slides up, please. Here we go. Okay. So just at a very high level, the mission of the BCAP project, jump to that first slide please, is to meet the emerging employment demands in ocean-related labor markets that are aligned with climate action and environmental justice priorities. So it's a big goal. There's three parts to it. The first is curriculum development, and this is the work of our faculty, and we know our faculty are up to the challenge. We have a lot of amazing faculty in the sciences, but across various different disciplines. So the first part is to update existing curriculum. We like to call that climatize existing curriculum, incorporate climate and blue economy principles into the existing curriculum, but also there's an opportunity to develop new curriculum. And what's most exciting is the opportunity for faculty across the 13 colleges to potentially collaborate together on curriculum. The second is faculty professional development and community of practice. So faculty from across the 13 colleges will be working together. That's actually kicking off this afternoon in the faculty session. So they'll get together, they'll learn the latest science in the blue economy, and then the second stage would be to develop curriculum and climatized curriculum. And the third one, for all of us who work in workforce and economic development, we're always thinking about getting students a good job. That's our North Star of what we do. So we're always thinking about college to career. So how do we connect with employers, find opportunities for internships, part-time jobs, and placements when they complete our programs. And if we could go to the next slide. So if we think about this project and take a step back and think about it as an ecosystems approach, there's three major components to it. There's the science. There's a lot of emerging science. There's a lot of things happening in the blue economy that you'll learn about later today if you go on the tours, and we'll continue to talk about this afternoon. There's the businesses. There's many businesses here at Altusee that are tenants doing really amazing work. And of course, thinking about the job placement for the students. And then there's us, the education institutions. So again, the faculty, the deans, the presidents, all working together to create curriculum for our students to get those jobs in the blue economy. And another great aspect to this is that here at Altusee, they incorporate all three of those together. So in terms of education, they have their own education initiatives here. There's also labs from USC and UCLA actively doing research here. There are tenants, there's many businesses here that are starting up and doing really amazing things. And they just bring it all together in a very beautiful way.